I think my colleague, Brother Temes, has changed the dynamics of the conversation. And I must follow through with a sense of optimism. When I spoke at the beginning, it was to sound off and say, things are possible, but we are not there yet. In this talk, we see green shoots, but we must leverage the opportunities, you know. Just to, over 10 years ago, we were in this same room. I was part of the deliberative, you know, resource people that were brought in to discuss the timeliness and strategic positioning of an African Union. We talked about trade as part of NEPA, you know, and all kinds of other things, even for agriculture. We talked about the KEDIP, you know, we follow this as a development economist. I sit in the classroom and I teach about this and point to where Africa could get to. But of course, we set ourselves mighty goals, which have not been realized yet. We have Millennium Development Goals to eradicate poverty, HIV, AIDS, and all sorts of other problems, which in the next intervening moments, we have not even broached getting close to. So yes, optimism, yes, but we need to be more active. We are lagging behind, and we need to, I'll trade anecdotes with my brother. In a relay, we cannot afford to drop the baton. Because if you drop the baton, you're going to lag even further back. And so I want to say, the moment is right. The forces of globalization have opened up markets. Business opportunities are rife, but we must leverage the efficiency gains that are necessary to really get there with our businesses. What do I mean by that? Trade itself necessarily calls for liberalization. How do we liberalize? Well, if you liberalize just en masse, there are vulnerable contributors to production on the supply side, which include what? Limited resource producers, small businesses, and medium-sized businesses. And then you also have the farmers. Just to set a goal of setting aside about what? A certain percentage of government budget toward production has not been realized. I mean, let's take ourselves for real. You know, that is why the business people in the room here must get active. And I agree with my brother there. Must get active with the government. And in the United States and everywhere else, you lobby. You have to effectively lobby. If we need to grow, then what is government's role? You know, so that you can catalyze production. And then the next thing is to talk about the distributional aspects. And I agree. I mean, look, if you look at the statistics alone, for those of us who are living outside of our domain, and in fact, every time I come to Addis, I'm amazed. I mean, lately, look at this, you know, the skyscrapers which are coming up.
Yeah. And that's 11% growth rate for the last few years.
Exactly.
Double digits.
Exactly.
For a country with a population of more than 80 million.
Yes. And a country which was not too long ago with a socialist bent. But the remittances alone coming in. Yeah. And if you look at the statistics, Africans in the diaspora, remittances coming in is catching up with overseas development assistance. Already, foreign direct investment has caught up. And but for the recent global financial crisis, would have exceeded it. Yeah. So there are green shoots there. But what do we do? And then, of course, if we can leverage all these efficiency issues, how do we distribute the outcomes of growth?
Yeah. Professor Karimi, tell me real quick, why the mistrust? Why the mistrust? You know, mighty Egypt, can it compete or can it work alongside little Lesotho, if you will? You know?
What?
Why the mistrust between countries all this time?
Well, May I suggest something?
Yes,
you have
please.
the time, and so you are allocating the time and
Yes.
so on. Can I take this as one question, and we'll open the floor to questions?
Yeah, let's do
and
that.
then I gather questions so that we'll give the floor
The chance.
time.
Right.
You know, I'm going to write it at the first question that I have to
All right.
answer it,
Floor,
okay?
questions.
Yeah, you know.